I'd like to call this meeting of the City of Kenmore Planning Commission to order. It is Tuesday, October 7th at 7 p.m. Clerk, will you please take the roll?
Commissioner LaSalle,
Here.
Commissioner Macias,
Here.
Commissioner Olson,
Here.
Commissioner Dorian,
Here.
and Commissioner Vanderland,
Here.
Vice Chair Thompson,
Present.
Chair Brandashinsky.
Here. Next on our agenda is the land acknowledgement, which I will read tonight. We acknowledge that the City of Kenmore is situated upon the ancestral lands of the Snohomish, Snoqualmie, Soxhawtl, Duwamish, Stillaguamish, Tulalip, Suquamish, Muckleshoot, and other tribes who are part of the Coast Salish peoples. We recognize and express our deepest respect for their enduring stewardship and profound relationship with this land, which they have cherished and protected since time immemorial. We honor the First Peoples, acknowledge their vibrant cultures, and commit ourselves to learning from their wisdom in our journey to promote justice, equity, and mutual understanding. We pledge to stand alongside these communities in acknowledging past injustices and working towards a future that respects and celebrates the diverse heritage of this land. Now, if you'll please join me for the flag salute. Next on our agenda is public comment. Is there anyone signed up for public comment tonight?
There's no one signed up to speak.
All right, we will now move to the consent agenda. I would entertain that we approve the consent agenda by unanimous. I'll second that. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, then the consent agenda is approved, which brings us to our public hearing.
All right. Good evening. Todd Hall, Principal Planner. This evening, we bring to you the Parks, Recreation, and Open Space and Capital Facilities element for public hearing. As you know, we've been working on this alongside with a pros plan for a number of months now, and this element is one that we set aside to tackle this year. We did the periodic update in 2024, and knowing that we were going to be working on the pros plan this year, we waited to amend the pros element and the capital facilities table related to the pros element this year. So I have just a very brief presentation to just run through a typical one that we've done before with all the other elements, just to kind of set the context. So the pros element purpose is to provide the policy framework for future development of Kenmore's park system, including its open spaces, recreation facilities, and programs, as well as to provide a vision for the community and a guide to future planning, acquisition, and development of parks, recreation, and open spaces throughout the city. The items that we amended as part of this element update, we updated the inventory of the pros facilities and amenities. We updated the level of service, or otherwise known as LOS. We've updated a number of maps. We've added several new sections, including walkability, section on heat index, social equity, and community outreach. And then we've spent quite a bit of time on the goals, objectives, and policies, including adding several new ones in this draft. Additionally, as part of this update, the capital facilities elements, specifically the table that's related to the PROS element, was amended. What this element does is it guides the city council in making financial decisions to ensure public facilities and services continue to meet community needs. And it emphasizes what facilities for which the city is directly responsible for funding. What it also includes is a 6-year plan for capital improvements to support both current and future population and economic growth. And it requires that all 6 years capital improvements are fully funded. And like I mentioned, only tables CFA in this element was the item that was amended. The rest of the element you looked at previously as part of the update. It was one of the first ones that we did at the very beginning of the comp plan update. So it's been a little while, but it didn't really have anything major except for this one to this table to take a look at. So a little bit of background, the PROS element was last amended in 2020 along with the PROS plan, went through a similar process that we're going through right now. And then the capital facilities element, like I just mentioned, was last amended in 2024 as part of the periodic update. So, and lastly, just next steps. So tonight, we're having asked that you hold the public hearing. An option tonight is to discuss planning commission recommendations if you so choose. Alternatively, if you're not ready this evening, we would come back on October 21st and go through those recommendations. But I have a feeling that we'll probably have more than enough time this evening for you guys to consider those. October 27th, then we would have you come with staff to the planning, the city council and present your recommendations on the PROS element and the capital facilities element. And then we're anticipating December 8th, the city council would adopt both of these elements by ordinance. We would then continue the conversation through this year and then early next year to finalize the PROS plan. So just because this part is being finished tonight doesn't mean that we're completely done with the planning commission. This is just one piece of the overall work plan, which is the PROS element part of the comp plan. And that's the one that we need to get adopted, but before the end of this year. The PROS plan, we still have a little bit more work to do, and we'll continue working on that with you. So that's all I have in terms of a presentation. I'll turn it over to the chair. Thank you.
All right. Clerk, is there anyone signed up for the public hearing?
There is not.
All right. Do we officially have to close the open and close the public hearing? Is there anyone here wishing to be heard? I think I'm supposed to say it 3 times according to Robert's rules, but there is nobody here in the room, so I think we're good. Thank you, Vice Chair Thompson. All right, so I will close the public hearing then, and we can have a discussion as a commission about our recommendation, number 1, if we are ready to make it. How is the commission feeling in that regard? Are you all feeling ready to make a recommendation? Commissioner LaSalle?
Yeah, thank you. Maybe more just for Todd and Debbie for my clarification, which parts, because we covered a lot, and I know that some of the parts that we covered, we discussed that they would be covered more in depth at an ulterior date. So I think I just wanted to understand exactly which parts would be submitted and the parts that were kind of covered, but will be reviewed more in depth. Will they be submitted more as an FYI or not submitted at all?
Let me see if, I'll try and answer your question, and if I don't, let me know. So what you're moving forward tonight is what was part of the public hearing. So it's the draft element and the capital facilities portion. So that's what we're asking for the recommendation tonight. The pros plan, as you know, there was a lot more detail and such on the level of service, about the public participation, about the finance strategy will be in the pros plan itself. So the intent then is that we will bring that back to you, hopefully in November. What we may not have complete then is we still have one public survey to do. The postcard for that public survey goes out Friday of this week to all households. It closes, I believe, on November 4th. So we'll need time following the close of that to kind of look at that public hearing data that we've got and integrate that into the pros plan, excuse me. So there is still more to present to you on the pros plan. And then the commission then will be taking a look at that and then giving a recommendation to the council. If after adoption of the pros element this year, things change in the pros plan, that then we need to update the pros element or the capital facilities element, we would put that on the docket for next year. Did I answer your question?
Wonderfully well, thank you.
Yes, so just to sum that up again, just to say it one more time for all of us, what is before us to make a recommendation on is the Parks, Recreation and Open Space element, not the plan, but the element. And then also the draft capital facilities element, but only the part of it that has the parks related projects in it. It is a little bit unclear because the element and the pros plan are very similar. So we just need to address the element tonight and not the entire plan. We'll have more time after the public hearing tonight and subsequent meetings to talk more about the plan. Commissioner Lassell.
And I think just on the record stuff that I've shared in previous meetings is parts of the element, including the capital facilities element, covers improvements or opportunities for growth for Kenmore with regards to parks and recreation centers. And I think as we acknowledge that we might revisit it once we have a better understanding of additional data, including the surveys, et cetera, then I feel comfortable moving forward with those for recommendation. But of course, only because of that, because we didn't go in detail on the different improvements fully for each park and rec, though we did go through them one by one. And so I feel comfortable moving forward because there's this opportunity to revisit it at a later date. Had we not had this opportunity, I would maybe be less comfortable.
Thank you, Commissioner Lassell. So could I maybe get a nods, yay or nay? Are you all comfortable making a recommendation tonight, or yes? Yes, okay, so I've got 7 nods. So in that case, I would entertain a motion.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
point of order.
Yes,
So with the motion, what that does is put the element on the table for further amendment at that point. correct?
yes, that's right. Yeah,
Madam Chair, I move that or the element before us be recommended to the city council for adoption.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. Let's see, I think you all nodded yes, or should we do it, you want to do it on the record? Clerk, will
Oh,
you?
no, I think we're seeing if there's some amendments first before.
Okay,
Please.
yes. Are there any discussion? I guess. First, Vice Chair Thompson, would you like to speak to your motion? Would you like to speak to the motion? No? Okay. Commissioner Dorian? And then, okay, Commissioner Dorian, and then Vice Chair Thompson.
This is on P15. And this is actually, I'm not aware what the term should be, but as I'm scanning through, it just strikes me that limited English feels like a bit of a judgment call for people who don't necessarily have English as a first language. I don't know how it was determined, those, and then it's the top of the map on P18 as well. If that is the accepted term of art, then okay, but it stood out to me as a little bit of a judgment call of people who don't have English as a first language. I'm not sure what I would suggest changing it to because I don't know what the provenance of the term is.
We can pull it up on the screen. I just want to make sure that we're all looking at the same page in the same language.
There you go.
Is that language best current practice for indicating? I think more commonly I've seen English as a second language.
Yeah, I think we can certainly amend however the commission recommends, but I think you're right, Chair. It's English second language is more commonly used. So we can make that change.
ACF, when it breaks out the categories of what people speak, it defines it as people that speak limited English. That's all they say.
Hmm.
Doesn't say anything about whether or not they can speak English. It's just limited.
Commissioner Olson?
Yeah, I think my interpretation on this one, because I did have this thought, but my thought there was folks who have not necessarily learned English to a point where it would be a second language for them. So I think the intent there was, at least that's how I interpret it, but that could be a generous interpretation. Whom most people speak some English, so.
Commissioner LaSalle?
I don't necessarily have a strong feeling one way or the other, and I do not know what is the appropriate term. I just want to point out that, for example, I would be considered that my kids have English as a second language, and what I appreciate in the limited English is less the order, but it calls out the ability to use English effectively, which is the important element. The fact that it is a second language, there's vastly differing levels in how someone would have English as a second language. And what's important is not necessarily is it a first or second language, but how comfortable they are, and from a needs assessment. So while I understand the wanting to us align to what's the appropriate term, I feel as though in this case, limited English actually addresses the potential challenge more so than second language would.
Mhm. Okay, any other discussion on that point?
Just a small point. So I just looked it up. So the ICS has limited English proficiency. I think there's something that's perhaps a little bit more mitigated if we describe having limited English proficiency versus speaking limited English. I don't know. At this point, we might be splitting hairs, but that's,
Commissioner Olson?
Yeah, I like adding proficiency to it. I think it gets the same point across, but makes it clear. It's just their needs, where they're at that point.
Okay, how do commissioners feel about adding proficiency? Okay, there's direction to add proficiency after limited English, and then, of course, in all instances of this in the document. Commissioner Dorian, did you have anything else you wanted to say at this moment?
Nope.
Okay, Vice Chair Thompson?
I'm beginning my focus with regard to this point would be on page 18.
Vice Chair Thompson, are you looking at the page number that says P before it, or the one at the bottom?
The P
The P,
one,
okay,
and that
great,
would
thank you.
also be number 17 on the PDF, I believe.
P,
That's
P18, great, okay, thank you.
The miss. Excuse me, just give me a second to read.
Okay, well, Vice Chair Thompson has taking some time to reorient. Does anyone, any other commissioners have any comments or concerns, questions?
Oh, it is P8.
Okay,
17 in the PDF. I was looking at something else. So the question I have is implications of walkability. Does service gaps beyond the 5-10 minute walkability zone should be filled by local park facilities? And I think those are the pocket parks, correct? And in here, it specifies areas, and that's based upon the GIS map related to that, the red zones. Okay. Now, taking that one step further, and I haven't double checked it on the capital facilities plan. Does the capital facilities plan still specify specific places?
Neighborhood 1, 2, 3, and 4, rather than the specific streets we used before. Yes, so they're in the capital facilities plan to acquire, and they're also in there to develop.
But can we go to the page that is not my P18, but the other page where I have to go to the other capital facilities plan element. The list is. Or maybe that's where I just need to see what it says that's related to that. Or,
This list?
the one related to the pocket parks. In the
You're-
capital facilities
Uh,
only.
But you're in there twice. You're in there to acquire first. Look at your acquisitions first. Now, you haven't changed the names. They're still going by the street names.
Okay, page is, we're at CF7.
So go up to acquisition first.
Oh, here.
Yeah, those should be changed to neighborhood 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then do it
Yeah,
again when
instead
you
of-
look at the development costs.
Instead of the named spots. Correct?
Oh, I see. We described it as neighborhood 1, but I think we should change the titles on the left column to be neighborhood 1 rather than the street names.
That's my concern. That was.
Yeah, I thought
exactly
that was
what-
your intention.
Okay, so I move that we amend F7 for those 3 items to,
There'd be 4 items. Change the left-hand column from street names to say neighborhood 1, 2, 3, and 4. And do it under the acquisition list and then do it under the development list.
make that motion.
Yeah, I'll second that. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you for your
Yeah,
patience.
of course. Do you have any other comments or questions at this time?
I have a technical question for you. So there's the bathroom at the Harbor Village Marina. And we're talking about the main bathroom there. Is that under contract with the marina to stay open during certain hours?
I don't know I have no idea what opening hours are for the bathroom at the marina.
I believe in here in the inventory under Harbor Village Marina, there is a restroom, and I remember that you mentioned it, and having property down there, I did not think it was open to the public, and that's the reason I brought it up. So it's either public or it's private, because you have to have a key to get in there.
I don't know the relationship for the bathroom, honestly, but there is public access there. There is
Right.
a dock which is publicly accessible. That's the public access part. I don't know if the bathroom is a public bathroom or only accessible to marina users.
The only place that's described is in the project sheet in the pros plan. And in there, that's a replication of the language that was used in the last pros plan. So we assumed that was it. But I don't remember whether it mentions bathroom or not. I know it mentions the boardwalk and the pier.
Right, and that's correct, and I did notice that, but that's not in these 2 documents at all. Not
That's,
referred to.
no, because
Okay,
that's
then
in the
I'm good.
pros plan.
I'm good then. That was and I'd ask Commissioner Olson, since he's the byways expert and most interested in that. How do you feel about the description of the connector trails that listed in the element and capital facilities element? I just wanted to make sure you're satisfied it doesn't say too much or too little. You understand what I'm asking? Okay.
Generally, I think I'm happy with the changes that we've previously discussed. I think I tend to err on the side of more connectivity is better. And balancing that with natural environment is important. I'm happy that we've discussed how to redirect those around these natural element features. One thing that I was hoping to see in the capital facilities element, I think I could just be missing it. I feel like I'm probably just missing it. Suppose it says develop, something along the lines of improving at-grade crossings at 522, or the study into improving at-grade crossings on 522. I think we've got the ambition to have a bridge and those features at some point, and I know that's on here. I think in our, gosh, I can't remember which element this was. It was the transportation element.
These trails are off-road trails. Your transportation element in your comprehensive plan deals with at-grade crosswalks and identifies where the transportation improvements should be made. We didn't replicate that here. We're strictly off-road.
Gotcha. Okay. That sounds like that's a change for a different day then. And I could also be missing it. It might be there. I know I saw some other at-grade crossing improvements for some other roads, but I think that was not part of this element. So yeah, overall, I'm happy with it.
We talked about Swamp Creek and whether or not the trails were going to go through that or not. And these estimates are based on going around the Swamp Creek. And I sent down a revised graphic, our type of graphic, that shows that's the case.
Vice Chair Thompson?
Right, so now my focus is on a whole topic which we've all discussed. And so I'm on page CF3. I'm looking for the whole paragraph of sound fiscal management. I'm wondering if after our discussion, and Commissioner Vanderlaan is definitely a leader in this discussion. Mike, I got you this time. There's one line in that paragraph. It allows the city to estimate the future operation maintenance costs of the new facilities that will impact the annual budget. What my concern is whether or not that line alone puts the emphasis, which we discussed, about the city's budget and what's really going to happen if we take on some of these facilities that require annual, monthly maintenance, restrooms that need to be cleaned out, all of that. So I put that to the commission, is whether or not you all feel that that's strong enough words for the to get across our concern.
Commissioner Vanderlaan?
Dwight, thank you for calling me out.
Well, I mean, you have made an
Yeah.
excellent argument on that, better than I could make.
Let me say then that I absolutely believe that this wording here is sufficient for now. I think that as we get into comp plan itself, and we have more information about what the budget looks like and what some of the development issues relating to this element are, I want to come back and take a look at this at this point. Concept is there. that we need to have the capital facilities costs understood, estimated. City needs to have that information in order to do. City needs to come into that, but I don't think we're ready to go beyond that at this point in going.
When we get to the pros plan, one of the appendices deals with financial strategies and financial costs. And we're looking at what does it cost to administer your parks, to maintain your parks, to do repair and replacement, and then to build new facilities in that priority order. So the budget, that whatever financial strategy you select, maintenance is the second priority of that. And we'll identify what you've been paying for that and what we expect it to be over the next 6 and 20 years.
But thank you. I think emphasizing the fact that we need to look at strategies. We haven't developed strategies. We haven't discussed strategies yet. We're not ready to do that. So I don't think that's logically part of or intended to be part of the element. But we need to sure we come back to this, and I'm sure we will, as you've already pointed out, we have to in order to build.
Vice Chair Thompson?
With, of course, the commission's permission and suggestion as a whole, I might suggest that one of the emphasis points of concern of the chair's introductory comments might be this particular point, or somebody at the other end of the dais might be interested in discussing it as a point of information. But I'm not going to call him out again because he's going to nail me if that happens.
All right, I have made a note of that. I think that's a good note. And we will have an opportunity to plan our presentation after our recommendation.
May I continue?
Vice Chair Thompson, go ahead.
The next item, and this goes to our illustrious staff leader out there. Now, there are references in here to, well, let's say, just as an example, Lake Point. And you have advised us that we need to be careful about and how we, because of the negotiations or whatever, Lake Point issues and whatchamacallit, the
Bastier?
yes, Bastier issues, that we should be careful how we, what we say and do about those. So as a mission, so I just wanted to ask that again to make sure that you're just absolutely cool with what's in here and the suggestions that maybe the council should buy Lake Point.
It's still a recommendation in terms of acquisition for access to the water. Just having there as a recommendation to acquire it doesn't mean that you have to. There's no commitment there.
I just wanted to, so we're perfectly in our right to make recommendations at this point, regardless of the status of the properties.
Maybe if you can kind of point to something specific, because I want to make sure that we're on the same page in terms of your concern as it relates to these two elements. Is there a specific reference or something you have concerns with in referring to
there's
Lake Point?
Well, the Lake Point, there's a specific value dollar in there, like 15 million, I think it is. That there, and I was looking for the best, if there was, is there a Bastier?
No,
There is not for the Bastier.
there's two numbers in there for Lake Point. One is for the wetlands itself, and the other is for what would be the park next to the wetlands, not the developable part, not the private village. And those two numbers have come from what's been allocated by King County or by Conservation Futures, and that's where those two numbers came from.
Okay.
For Bastier, we have an acquisition number to buy the equivalent amount of land necessary for the athletic fields you're gonna lose should Bastyr sells to somebody else, but we don't mention Bastyr at all.
Thank you. I appreciate just the clarity for us, because we want to make sure we stay in the fence lines here. Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm done for now.
Okay, sounds good. So next we'll take Commissioner Olson and then Commissioner Dorian.
Yeah, so Dwight made me go and double check and make sure I'm not missing anything. And I think overall, like I was saying, I'm happy with this. I did notice on page 30, I believe this is what's the name of the attachment on the track changes P&R element. Page 30 at the bottom of the page, policy 3.1.4. I've got a couple minor amendments I would propose. I'll wait to get there so other folks can. And I think I might have just, yeah, P30, 36 of 41, and the track changes set, yep, right there. And it's policy 3.4.1, 3.1.4. On this one here, I would propose striking and then striking existing transportation corridors, and then also potentially actually striking north-south. So plan and develop park connections utilizing transportation corridors as appropriate, i.e. 68th Ave, Northeast, 73rd. I think my intent there was actually generally more for east-west connections. I think we've got some existing transportation corridors on the north-south routes. I don't necessarily want to not include north-south because I think there could be park openings that, there might be a different location to enter the park that makes the north-south connections more accessible. But I was thinking maybe just expanding this language out a little bit. Particularly, I was thinking kind of around Swamp Creek, where we're looking at utilizing some existing roadways there that I don't believe are existing non-motor or non-vehicle traffic transportation corridors at this time. I'm sure people walk and bike on them, but they aren't built so it's comfortable to walk and bike currently.
Second, pending clarification of actual amendment.
Gotcha. Fair point. And then the other item that I guess I just wanted to confirm this, and I think I could be reading into this too much. On 3.1.5 at the very bottom of the page, excluding crossing the Swamp Creek wetland consistent with the transportation element, trail linking to adjoining cities, excluding crossing the Swamp Creek wetland. And I'm assuming that this just means surveyed wetland locations where it'd be a new crossing, so an existing roadway or an existing crossing that is not identified as an official wetland doesn't count, even if it's within the Swamp Creek wetland corridor area. Sorry, I'm thinking of like the roads that currently connect, I believe it's 73rd and 80th, that we were looking as one option for the route. And then also further to the south, where we're looking at, instead of going straight through Swamp Creek, potentially with other developments kind of going around Swamp Creek in those areas there, just making sure that this wouldn't.
This is specifically related to the Tolt Pipeline Trail.
Gotcha.
So the Tolt Pipeline goes straight through Swamp Creek. And what we're saying is we don't want that section of the Tolt Pipeline Trail that goes directly through Swamp Creek to be developed. And what Tom put in his map is that if there is a trail, it would go use the existing road network from 73rd to 192nd to 80th. So this is just related to the Tolt Pipeline Trail and excluding that section, because if you remember, when you adopted the transportation element, you excluded that section of the Tolt Pipeline Trail that would cross the wetland.
Gotcha. Yeah. I guess my reading of this was probably more like I was saying, I was probably reading into it too much. But when I read that, my first thought was like, there is no way to go east-west without crossing the Swamp Creek wetland. That being said, I think there's a way to do it if we're categorizing as like official staked wetland, which it sounds like is the intent. So I'm not gonna push on that one. So going back to 3.1.4, I would propose just striking and through north and south, and existing from this, and then otherwise keeping it the same, just plan and develop park connections utilizing transportation corridors as appropriate, i.e. 68th Ave Northeast, 73rd Ave Northeast.
Okay, so there is a motion and a second. Is everybody clear on what the motion is, commissioners? No, okay. Chris, could you, Commissioner Olson, could you just read it one more time fluently from start to finish as you're proposing?
Yeah, so I'm proposing strikes.
You don't even have to do
Okay.
strikes, just as you would like it to read.
Policy P-3.1.4, plan and develop park connections utilizing transportation corridors as appropriate, i.e. 68th Ave Northeast, 73rd Ave Northeast. And I
Alright.
think we should add 192nd Ave or street, 192nd Street, the particular corridor connecting 73rd and 80th. And I screwed up that simple task.
Okay, how about one more time? Just read it fluently as you're proposing.
Plan and develop park connections utilizing transportation corridors as appropriate, i.e. 68th Ave Northeast, 73rd Ave Northeast, 192nd Street.
All right, that was wonderful. Thank you. Are all commissioners clear on the motion? All right, clerk, do you have that motion down?
I didn't get the second. Which commissioner seconded it?
Oh, that was Vice Chair Thompson. Do you still second it, Vice Chair Thompson? Okay, super.
I wanted to make sure we all
All
understood
right.
what the motion.
So we've got a motion on the table. Clerk, will you please take the roll?
Okay, so let me just clarify. Chris is setting the motion. Commissioner Olson is setting the motion.
Yes, that's
Vice
right.
Chair Thompson is seconding.
Yes.
Commissioner LaSalle, your vote.
Aye.
Commissioner Macias, your vote.
Yes.
Commissioner Olson, your vote.
Yes.
Commissioner Dorian.
Yes.
Commissioner Vanderlyn.
Yes.
Vice Chair Thompson.
Aye.
And Chair Banashinsky.
Yes.
All in
Motion-
favor.
Yes, all in favor. Thank you. The motion passes unanimously. Commissioner Olson, did you have any other comments that you had wanted to make? No? Okay, great. Thank you so much. And then Commissioner Dorian.
So my question / point is about CF6, so the capital facilities element, page CF6, which is the table CFA. There you go. That's the one. So I just did the crosswalk of this to the existing capital facilities plan that's on the website. This is quite a different way of expressing this information. And I think this may have been covered in the meeting that I missed. So I just want to make sure that I'm not missing anything having missed it. So the reason I'm looking at it is a few things. The costs of the master plans and feasibility analysis, I think they're broadly in line with what was in the previous plan, but they're different things and there are more of them. The other things that I'm noting are where we have TBDs, which then when we have a subtotal, when we've got a TBD is a little bit tricky to deal with. And in the previous capital facilities plan, we did have financial numbers for some of these things. So like there was a figure for the aquatic center as a quarter of the overall costs that were assumed at that time. So I'm trying to work through the difference between this new version that we've got on the old version and making sure we're not missing anything. So if folks are happy, having been at the meeting that I was not at, to understand where all these changes have come from and what they've led to, then I would be good, but I just want to make sure that I'm not missing anything in how different the format is now.
There are cost estimates for the two you're showing there, Lake Point, and then the expanding the park from Taloquides, but I did not have those numbers when I put this together. So that's why I put TBD in.
Oh, I see. The intention is to source those. Oh, okay. Gotcha.
I think the water walk one was the 15 million that you talked about. But I don't know what the number was for Taloquides Park.
Got it. Do, do, do. Yeah, this one makes it a little tricky because I think mostly I would be able to recommend the capital facilities element, but not having some of the funding in there makes that a little bit difficult when we're going with subtotals, because some of those could be significantly different once we add the funding in. So that would be my main concern with that piece.
The financial strategies that we're developing with the pros plan indicates where each of these would be funded, which device, which funding method you could use. Some of them have more than one that could be applied. You may be applying multiples, but that's not necessary at this level of an element. The element just says, what's your list?
I see. I guess my challenge is with the subtotal, I guess, then in that case, because that is suggesting that we're suggesting to council that this is the budget that they should be putting towards something. But if we're missing figures like 6 million and 15 million from a subtotal, those are not insignificant amounts to miss from a subtotal that we're recommending to council.
Commissioner Olson?
I don't think we talked about the TBDs too much. I think last time we were focused more on kind of the precise numbers of some of the other items, which appears to have been amended. And we're shifting away from that, but I don't think we necessarily focused on these. I guess I've got a question for staff. How is this handled typically?
I think even if you look at the old pros element, I think there are still numbers in there with a TBD. I think it's just identified then as a placeholder. So it might be something that we don't know now, we might know in the future. It's sort of a placeholder for something that we want to just make sure that it's a placeholder. So when the number is known, it can be added. So again, these costs are reflected in 2025 dollars. Yes, Tom? Yes.
Yes, these are in $2025.
Okay. Would it be possible then, maybe going forwards, if we just have a little note, like a little asterisk or something like that, at the start of this section or table that just says subtotals do not include some to be determined items and are subject to change. I think it's probably pretty obvious to all of us, but I could just see that as being something to go back to in case someone is like, why is it dramatically different?
You could put a footnote at the bottom of the table, explains the TBDs and also explains that it's in 2025 dollars.
So moved.
Yeah, I'll second that, and we'll just, yes, I'll just look for nods. Do we have at least 4 nods? Yes, okay. So you can go ahead and make that change, staff and Tom. Thank you very much.
Now, when we bring this back with the pros plan, we take this list and estimate inflation for all of this over the next 6 and 20 years. But we usually start with current dollar cost to do that.
All right. Are there any other points of discussion, any other amendments that commissioners?
You have to vote on what's,
We just agreed, yes.
oh, we did.
Yes,
Oh,
yep,
thank you.
yeah. Yes, Vice Chair Thompson, go ahead.
This is new topic.
Yes.
Okay, back to E31, so we're back to the items. Oh, I'm sorry, I should be speaking into here, my apologies. Let's go to oh, okay. New goal P-4. Line 6. I want to make an amendment on lines 6 and 7. Begin the discussion. Strike a balance between and insert adequate. Second, I'd like to speak to.
Yes, I'll second that. And Vice Chair Thompson, would you like to speak to that?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Well, you know, there's two ways to look at it, and I'm open to our debate on this. I'm always nervous when we talk about environment and we talk balance. And to many of us in Kenmore, balance really does mean a positive balance, which provides for protection of environment. But on occasion, it has happened where balance is a term that can be liberally construed one way or the other. And so I think what we might mean as a commission is to provide adequate passive and active recreation opportunities and community needs. Because adequate ensures both sides a balance. Because what is adequate is yet to be determined in all the work that we've been doing, which is particularly heavy in the environmental and open space, as well as some significant improvements in our cultural and recreational activities and facilities. So I think that's my motion, and that's why I made it.
Any other discussion on the motion? Commissioner Macias?
My only concern is, how do we quantify adequate for differing people, right? What's adequate for me might not be for someone else. I think that puts it in a little bit of a, how do you measure adequate?
May I respond?
Yes, Vice Chair Thompson, go ahead.
That actually is a very good question, and my view is that's a legislative answer, and that's up to the council who are elected to determine what is adequate and what is not. And just like we can't tell our constituents what project we are going to do and what we're not going to do, because that's the council's job. And so I'm willing to allow our elected officials to, from time to time, determine what is adequate. And I trust our public to elect the officials that elect the members of the council that they wish to make that decision. And I'm willing to delegate that in our Jeffersonian democracy.
Any other comments on the motion? So I think I saw Commissioner Dorian's hand maybe go up first. So Commissioner Dorian, then Commissioner Olson.
Question, Vice Chair Thompson, where were you thinking of putting the word adequate? Just where?
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. So May I restate the motion?
Yes,
Madam
please.
Chair?
Yes.
Okay, on P31, line, beginning on line 6, strike at the end of the line, a balance between and insert adequate.
So the new goal, if the motion for the amendment passes, would read P-4, preserve, develop, and enhance existing parks and open space to provide adequate passive and active recreation opportunities and community needs. So,
Right.
yes, okay, is everybody clear on that motion? Okay, any
Yeah.
other, Commissioner Dorian, go ahead.
So I'm not sure the right point to propose an alternate verbiage, if that's now, or if we should discuss, okay. I think it doesn't quite read if we do that because to provide adequate passive and active recreation opportunities and community needs. I'm wondering whether we could look at preserve, develop, and enhance existing parks and open space to provide a balance between passive and active recreation opportunities that is adequate for community needs, because then that's what we're solving for. We're balancing passive and active recreation opportunities so that they meet community needs. We're not balancing community needs against passive and active recreation.
Commissioner Olson?
Yeah, so you actually got at something that I was considering. So I think a while back, this was probably like a year ago, we had a conversation around adequate childcare. And we brought up the idea of, well, you don't want your child in adequate childcare, you want your child in quality childcare. So I'm wondering if we take what Commissioner Dorian just said and swap out balance with quality, but then maintain the adequate for community needs piece to that. If that makes sense. Commissioner Dorian, would you mind rereading that?
So I think it would read, preserve, develop, and enhance existing parks and open space to provide quality, passive, and active recreation opportunities that are adequate for community needs.
I will take that as an amendment to my amendment,
Second.
and I will second it.
Clerk, in terms of Robert's rules, is it, no, okay, I think we need to deal with the motion on the table first, and then we can have a new motion. So the motion before us is preserve, develop, and enhance existing parks and open space to provide adequate passive and active recreation opportunities and community needs. Clerk, will you please take the roll?
Commissioner LaSalle,
Yes.
Commissioner Macias,
No.
Commissioner Olson,
No.
Commissioner Dorian,
No.
Commissioner Vanderland,
No.
Vice Chair Thompson,
No.
Chair Banaszewski.
No. Okay, so that motion now is off the table. It has failed, and I will entertain another motion.
I move that we replace the verbiage for new goal P-4 to preserve, develop, and enhance existing parks and open space to provide quality, passive, and active recreation opportunities that are adequate for community needs.
And I second.
Okay. So we've got a new motion and second, a new motion on the table. Commissioner Dorian, would you like to speak to your motion?
I think this handles the concern that we had about defining balance, first of all, by making that balance in relation to community needs, but also removing balance so that we're using a more definitive word in terms of quality. So that's why I'm proposing
All
the
right.
change.
Any comments, discussion on the motion, Commissioner Vanderland?
Yes, I think the whole balance concept in here may have been mined back in our last meeting. So I do like Mr. Dorian's amendment because I think it really does get to the question of, I think a lot of the discussion, at least in my mind, was we have an imbalance today. And what we really wanted to do is find a way to address that. I think tying this and thinking to a longer term perspective, tying this to community needs, I think gives this more gravitas, and I think something that's much more utilitarian for the city council to deal with. So I support the motion.
Great. Any other comment on the motion from commissioners? No? Okay. Clerk, will you please take the roll?
Commissioner LaSalle,
Yes.
Commissioner Macias,
Yes.
Commissioner Olson,
Yes.
Commissioner Dorian,
Yes.
Commissioner Vanderland,
Yes.
Vice Chair Thompson,
Aye.
Chair Branishewski.
Yes,
Motion passes.
unanimously. Great. Thank you. Commissioner Dorian, did you have anything else? Okay, and now we go to Commissioner Olson. You're done. Okay. Any other amendments or points of discussion? No. All right. I think we're ready to return to our main motion as amended. Would you like it read again for clarity? Okay.
We
Commissioner,
ready
Vice Chair
to
Thompson?
speak to the main motion then?
Yes. So perhaps clerk, do you in your records, could you go back and read the main motion? No.
I think, let me give it a go here.
Okay, great.
And this was a motion by Commissioner Thompson that the elements before the planning commission, it would be as amended, be recommended to the city council for adoption, with Commissioner Vanderland seconding that motion.
Okay. Any discussion on the main motion as amended? Vice Chair Thompson.
I rise to speak in favor of the motion and justifying, the whole concept that we are looking at here and that we are asking the city council to adopt on behalf of our citizens is a complete rebalancing and rewriting of how our cities should be looking at our parks and recreation services that is necessary for the city to provide to be a livable Kenmore. I believe that the commission has looked at the serious fiscal impacts and the difficulties in both acquisition, construction, improvement, with a major footnote to the ongoing costs of maintenance and operations. We see that it is not our role to specify the priorities and emphasis for such of these projects or the policies based on operation and maintenance. But given that that's important, we are hoping that the city council respects the needs of our constituents in determining what is best for Kenmore. Functionally, this is one of the most wide, other than housing, is true, and our environmental element is probably one of our most vast encompassing elements that this commission has done and will do for several years. I speak in favor of this motion and feel very comfortable speaking to it and discussing it with council members in the form that it is today.
Thank you, Vice Chair Thompson. Any other commissioners who would like to speak to the motion? Commissioner Vanderland?
I'm in favor and speak in favor of the motion. I do want to make a comment, though. As Vice Chair Thompson I think, said quite well. This is a very far-reaching element. What we're proposing here, one only needs to take a quick glance at that capital plan to see just how important this is and just the effort it's going to take to make this real. To make this real is going to take public involvement, public participation. This is pretty disappointing. So as we pass this to the city council, I think one of the things we need to alert the city council to is there's some hard work. There's some pick and shovel work that has to be done to make any part of this real. I think we've done our piece in putting together the element, putting together the principles behind here. But that work is going to have to be done elsewhere. This is not going to work. So with that caution, I'm in favor of the motion.
Okay, would anyone else like to speak to the motion? Commissioner Dorian, and then Vice Chair Thompson.
Yeah, I was thinking of mentioning something similar to what Commissioner Vanderlyn just mentioned. Particularly because we restructured the goals heavily. It's a shame we're not able to get more community input on that. It's difficult because we can't expect the community to read hundreds and hundreds of pages. But if it would be good if we can think of ways in future to kind of land maybe the high points in a way that brings it to the attention of community. I was just thinking of this today, is that before I got involved with the city, I would have no idea that my main choice to speak to things like this is really here in the Planning Commission. So if there's a way we can start to seed some of these bigger changes, I think that would be a positive move. I also think with the finances, is part of the reason I brought up the TBD piece, is that some of those things like the overpass, I think we've had estimates on of like $50 million or something. So to help remove some of the magical thinking on some of these items in the community, it would just be useful to land some of those things. Appreciate the point around the TBD though, but yeah, I think to Commissioner Vanderlyn's point, like there's some work that needs to go in to make some of this real. Having said that, I'm still in favor of the motion of moving forward at this point.
Vice Chair Thompson.
So that it's noted on a record for the, that we have considered this, there has been due notice for the public hearing over several months of proposed dates, plus the notice that's required by the statute. Secondly, I have personally seen several postings of this on several sites on Facebook. I know that the city has done posting and emails related to this hearing and provided all the documents. Every single document that anyone would ever want to read on this plan has been provided by the staff on the website for months, including our final work that we have done over the last couple months. I say this for the record in case the inevitable individuals come before the council and indicate that they did not have a chance to be a part. They have had a chance to be a part. They have had a chance to come and make public comments in front of this commission for months, and some have. And they've had an opportunity for the record of the RCW required public hearing tonight. So I want to be clear that has happened. And I personally, as a commissioner and a public official, am very satisfied with the staffs, the cities, and other individuals' work to publicize our work and this hearing, which no one attended, except us.
Yes, I think it is, both things can be true, that we have done everything legally required and more, and also we might wish for more community engagement. I think both can be true. Commissioner Macias.
Yeah, I just wanted, I would like to speak in support of this. I do know that through several surveys and previous pros plans, we did see some of the similar requests coming in from the surveys. Ball fields, aquatic center. And while we may not agree on the specifics of those yet, I like that they are in here and that discussion, it's part of the discussion that we have, that we are handing over to council, because those are needs that we consistently see requests for. I do also like that we did hear from a lot of people that cost and financial burden is a huge concern. And this feels like a nice light touch on the parks to go ahead and upgrade things without really going all in and creating a lot of new parks that add cost. So I think that this is a good place to start. And, you know, I do agree. I think there's been plenty of outreach. You know, Todd, you've been hustling the parks plan in 90-degree weather and the farmer's market. Thank you. And Tom's team, you've done a really good job kind of outlining things for us and keeping us up to date on our feedback, because I do see our feedback here.
Any other comments on the motion? Commissioner Olson?
Yeah, I don't have too many comments. I did want to say thank you, staff, for all of your hard work. It shows. To me at least, like basically everything I think that I've wanted has been incorporated. And I've made some compromises on things, but that's more on the dais, and I think that's okay. That's part of the process, and it's a good thing. I did want to say I almost was late to the meeting because I was asking the skate people in the skate park what they thought of the idea of a pump track that we brought up a while back. I don't see that on the facilities element right now, and I believe that's because that was already being evaluated as part of a different set of items. But they didn't seem opposed to it. And I think outreach is a perpetually difficult and challenging thing that I struggle with because it's impossible to keep track of everything as an individual. And it's impossible as a city to make every person aware of everything as a result. That said, I do think going out and talking to people is probably the best thing we can do, or one of the best things we can do. Yeah. Overall, though, I'm in support of the element.
Yeah, if I can just respond to the,
Yes.
typically when we do the presentation to council, one of the parts of that presentation is to say what has been done on public outreach. So we can note things like we had the open house, we will have 2 surveys. You know, you had your regular meetings. We had the meetings with the stakeholders earlier on. So it's not that we haven't done it. We have kind of done, so we can kind of highlight what those efforts are. And again, if a park capital project moves forward, there's going to be outreach efforts there in terms of, you know, through the design and permitting process. So public outreach doesn't end with the adoption of the pros element. And in fact, when we get to the capital, the 6-year CIP, I mean, you can probably see with several of parks projects we had, there's a whole other level of engagement when we get to that level.
Commissioner Olson?
Yeah, I just want to make it very clear that I was not saying staff has not done enough. I know you've done a ton.
No, I was just kind of saying that we will kind of highlight that we've done some, the outreach that has been done to, whether it's Todd out there in 90-degree weather or the open house and other things that we've done to get that engagement and surveys. And just on that note, on the survey out to the residents, there will be a postcard going out probably Friday of this week to all households, so you'll get one. And there'll be a QR code on there that will then link to the city's website to take a survey. So, and that survey then will be, I think it's open till November 4th. So again, the results of that survey and what people say will then be incorporated into the pros plan.
Commissioner Olson? Oh, sorry, you were done. Commissioner, Vice Chair Thompson?
Commissioners, I just want you to know why I spoke a lot at the motion portion is because I know that should something go to court, one of the things that happens is that the comments and all of the transcripts of the commissions can be a part of that legislative history. And so that's why I did the first speech with regard to my feelings of, well, we should adopt this, and also my comment with regard to my version, my view, which gives you all a chance to disagree with me with regard to our public engagement, which our staff just reiterated. But I have seen these go into, since we are a public body under the RCW, I think we should be as strong as possible in our position going to the council.
Thank you. Okay, I think I would like to get to the motion as amended so that we can take a vote and then make plans for our presentation to council. I'm seeing nods that we're ready for that. Okay, so the motion as amended, does anybody need it read again? Yes. Could you read the motion, please, clerk?
The motion was to move the element to be recommended to the city council for recommendation. It was seconded by Commissioner Vanderland.
Will you please take the roll?
Commissioner LaSalle,
Yes.
Commissioner Macias,
Yes.
Commissioner Olson,
Yes.
Commissioner Dorian,
Yes.
Commissioner Vanderland,
Yes.
Vice Chair Thompson,
Aye.
Chair Banashinsky.
Yes.
Unanimous.
Well, the motion passes unanimously. Excellent work, Commission. You did a lot of work to get here. Good job. And thank you, staff, and thank you, Tom, for your good work as well. Yeah, that was a big one. All right. So we've got a presentation to give before council. And we should use the next little bit to make a plan for that. Are there things that commissioners feel strongly about that should be part of our presentation? Commissioner Olson?
I would love to talk about the trails, obviously. Like, finally, I don't know, I've talked about parking previously, not as exciting to me as trails.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Tom. Yeah, so I'd love to talk about the trails, and also a little bit about Heat Island and trees, but mostly trails.
Okay, Commissioner LaSalle?
I think I'll stay on my one topic, not more as a recommendation for next steps. I think I would like to make the council aware that in the future decisions they make, having this three-way Venn diagram of making a decision based on what we've expressed, and by we, I mean the city of Kenmore's residents, what we want, what we have, and what we need, would be an important part to highlight.
Vice Chair Thompson?
I'm not exactly sure what I want to take, depending on what else is there. Somebody's got to talk about that pool. Aquatics, let's call it aquatics. Well, I mean, we've put the aquatics down and the view that, yes, there's some expression of need, but we have, put this to the regional, and that there's not only that, but our concern about the cost, which has been expressed by the members of the commission, the ongoing costs and where's that going to come from? And this is not, it can be a big dent in the entire park plans and everything. So I will work with others on this, but that's one item that is of interest to me.
Commissioner Macias?
I have strong feelings on this. So here we go. The indoor facilities, I have strong feelings on the fact that we have indoor facilities that are lacking and subpar across the city, which includes any aquatic center and the senior center, which is also funded by MPRSA, which we do not see.
Right.
So I'm happy to discuss the fact that we do understand that we are missing. We also have a cultural center and a recreation center on here that are high dollar, but are also very much needed in the city where we have none of that. So I think that I'm happy to discuss that we do see this over and over, that we have a deficit in any sort of indoor facilities for the community. That's why they're all on here.
Okay, so far for topics that have been raised, we've got trails, the heat island effects that exist throughout the city, trees, a decision matrix that includes what we want, what we have, and what we need. And then I heard about a pool, but then I also heard about indoor facilities in general. So
Work on that together.
Vice Chair Thompson and
I agree with
Commissioner
what,
Macias.
said.
Yeah. Okay, yes, and also it is important, I know that you all are very thoughtful, smart, mindful commissioners, and I don't need to say this out loud, but I will, that these presentations that we're making are reflecting the views of the commission as a whole and not of any individual commissioner as a resident. So we should be very careful when we are constructing our presentations to make sure that that is the case. Any other topics that Commissioner Doyen?
Yeah, I think tactically, I would like to speak about why we restructured the goals, just so they have that understanding.
Commissioner Vanderland?
Just speak maybe in addition to Commissioner Dorian's thought here. I think, question to the commission, kind of without, I think, saying it directly, I think we've recognized that in redoing or following the goals, we've actually taken a new direction here. And I think that's based on a recognition that there is an imbalance between indoor and outdoor recreation opportunities, and we need to do something to address that going forward. So I think that's kind of an opening remark, kind of an overarching theme that goes through all of this that we ought to make clear early on. And I think if we do that, it makes some of the things that we're talking about make more sense. There's the funding piece. I'll just have to segue into that. I think we need to make mention of that. I think we almost don't have to, because I think the city council is quite well aware of their budget issues. But I guess if I were to think about what would be the messaging related to funding we would give to him to give to the council would be different. Is that if we were to achieve the balance we're looking at and achieve our other primary goal, which is funding sources. So in terms of balancing, The city needs to make some choices about what is it willing to spend? What are the financial resources that are to it? And once we have that, a clearer message, then you can begin to look at that capital planning list and make some sense of that. I think that's a statement that may be very obvious to the city council, but I think in our deliberations, those have kind of been the three themes I have kind of felt, which are we need to maintain what we've got. We need to rebalance the the outdoor and indoor recreation opportunities. We need a way to fund this. Underlining that funding piece, or part of that too, is the reality that we are going to be a much dense grow, and with that, it's going to become a new set of needs, and maybe focuses the need to rebound. And that kind of runs through all of this. We're going to have a huge maintenance. If we have an increase in population, or dense population, maintaining what we've got is not going to be adequate. It's going to be a challenge. Rebalancing the inside and outdoor opportunities is only going to be possible. It's actually going to be very much more necessary, particularly when we look at the demographic trends that we've all. And that just drives the funding. None of that happens unless we come up with it. Current funding, we have a structural deficit as a city right now in our budget. You're not going to be able to address any of this without some new. Sorry, that's a lot, but that's my brain dump on this whole thing.
That's a point very, very well taken, Commissioner Vanderlyn, Vice Chair Thompson, and then Commissioner Olson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. You know, your point, Commissioner Vanderveen, brings up that topic about the changing in the demographic trends. And maybe that, I heard that clearly from our consultant, and I thought that the consultant was probably right on an overall basis. Maybe that alone needs a highlight because it does change the emphasis and the priorities of our spending and what we have listed here, what should be done first or maybe done last. So it's up to the commission if they want to, but I liked what you had to say over there at the far end that I'm calling out too often, I guess.
Commissioner Olson, then Commissioner Macias.
Yeah, I just was wondering, talking about order of this, it sounded like Commissioner Vanderlyn had a recommendation for David to kind of present first, and I was wondering if it would make sense to have Commissioner LaSalle follow up, given that your items are kind of talking about the balance of needs, likes, needs, and wants. But I don't know, I feel like mine is just fun fluff at the end. So, works for me.
Commissioner Macias.
I mean, I think it is important to highlight the capital improvements too, as we see it. It's a fiscally unconstrained list. So at least, I mean, I do want to put some emphasis on the fact that we have this capital improvement list, but this is everything in the shopping basket, right? If we wanted it, nothing is tied to a capital improvements budget at the time. Like this is what we see as an overarching 20-year plan for the city for wants and needs. And this is an important list. So the merits of these, we haven't assigned which ones we want to do first. That's up to council. But I think it's really important to know that this is how we see the future going forward, is everything on this list. I'm happy to speak, I mean, maybe that's where Commissioner Thompson, you and I, that this is fiscally unconstrained list. There are things on here that are very much needed throughout the city that we do not have, and things that we have been, people that our residents have been requesting that are important. Yeah. Yeah.
Agree with what you're saying, and if I'm willing to put in some work on this, especially since we have some time. That's what the chair would like us to do.
Okay, so we've got some topics and they did come from particular people. I've been taking notes so that I have it all down. If you brought up a topic, that does not obligate you to speak to it. So what I would like to do is take the temperature of each of you to find out if you would like to speak or not. And there is no right or wrong answer, but there's also no pressure to speak for the sake of speaking, because we need to keep this presentation short and time-bound. The total presentation to the council should take no more than 20 minutes. So we've got Todd doing a presentation that will be about 5 minutes, I'm told. And then there will be our comments, and then we do need to leave time for the council to ask questions. So our speaking is going to have to fit within that time frame. So with that said, are there people who feel very strongly about presenting? Okay, so I saw Commissioner LaSalle nod. And Vice Chair Thompson.
If I may say, usually that doesn't count the questions. That's the questions from the council are usually in addition, a little bit in addition. That means if they get into their own little.
Yes. Yes, we cannot control what or how many questions they ask. That is true. And Debbie, did you have something to say to that? No? Okay.
That's true. We're just trying to we'll limit our time and giving the overview, and then however you want to divide the time. But I mean, if all of you are going to speak, that's like 1 to 2 minutes max.
Yes, that's why I'm trying to get a sense of how many commissioners would like to speak, because that will determine how long each of us have to speak. So I saw three. I'm guessing that Vice Chair Thompson and Commissioner Macias, that you would both like to speak. Okay, so that's 3. Commissioner Olson?
Yes, but I think my section will be pretty short. I think I can do it in
Okay.
a minute. So,
Commissioner Olson?
yes.
Is there anybody else who would like to speak?
Your Honor, for
Yes.
sake of, Madam Chair, for the sake of not indicating a quorum in discussion, I would move that, provided that the chair is relating assignments to those topics that have been discussed tonight in open meeting, that you're allowed to communicate with us by email to make sure that the assignments are correct.
Thank you. Yes, thank you. All right, Commissioner Dorian, was that a yes, you would like to speak, or a?
I don't have to. I mean, if Commissioner LaSalle feels that he can cover the point, because I think it's a related point, right? The balance that we're looking for and the goals. I don't need to also cover that.
Okay. So right now what I'm hearing is we've got Commissioner LaSalle speaking to the balance of what we've expressed we want, what we have, and what we need. And that can tie into why we restructured the goals. Those kind of seem like 2 different things to me. Yeah, I think those are 2 different topics. I can also cover one of them in my opening remarks, which I will also keep brief. Okay, Commissioner LaSalle, you'll speak to what we've expressed we want, what we have, and what we need. Commissioner Olson, you'll speak to trails, heat island effect, and trees. Those are actually all related. Vice Chair Thompson and Commissioner Macias, you'll speak to indoor facilities and our need for them. Pool might make an appearance in that discussion. And then David and Mike, you had restructuring the goals and the funding piece. If neither of you would like to speak with it, I feel like that as Commissioner Vanderlyn, as you said, that would make a good opening remark, and I'm happy to fold that into an opening remark.
I'm happy to work with you on that.
Okay, let's work
That's
together on
kind
that.
of upfront sort of thing.
Okay.
And having it come from the chair, I think would be.
Great. Okay, let's work together on that. All right. So is everybody clear on their topics and their workmates if they have one? Yes? Okay. And as Vice Chair Thompson said, I can send this out in an email, or staff actually could send it out in an email so that we don't run afoul of any rules. Yes,
Your mic, Vice Chair, your mic, please.
My point was that if you needed to clean things up, you could do so individually without violating open meeting rules, because we've already you've just outlined what you're going to do.
yes.
Facilitate our presentation.
Okay. And I think outside of this meeting, I will think about the timing, and when we communicate via email, we can set some expectations and direction about the amount of time that we should each be taking. All right. Well, that was wonderful. Thank you. So our next steps are so we've got some upcoming meetings that we may not need to have, since we did such a wonderful job getting through our work today. Yes, we could cancel our October 21st meeting, which would be our second meeting of the month, because we will appear before council on the 27th. Then,
Additional one is November 4th, since that's election night.
yeah. We have to cancel the meeting.
Yeah, the
Yes.
November 4th meeting has to be canceled because the chamber is
Used
not
for voting.
available. So
Is
we
it-
could either reschedule November 4th, or we could cancel the 21st and the 4th.
I believe that staff has a plan for the rest of our work for the year that would accommodate canceling both on the 21st and the 4th. Would you like to talk to that, Debbie and Todd?
Yes. What we need to bring back to you is continuing the discussion of the pros plan. So we would be fine giving some extra time and coming back for that in your second meeting in November. So in terms of staff has no issues with cancelling 21st and November 4th.
Okay.
And we would probably have one meeting in November and maybe one in December to kind of finalize the pros plan. And if needed, one in early January, because the council needs to take final action on the pros plan by the end of February.
Madam Chair,
Yes,
I
Vice Chair
move that
Thompson.
we cancel the next regularly scheduled Plan Commission meeting and the first meeting scheduled in November.
There's a motion on the table to cancel the October 21st and November 4th meetings.
Seconded.
I think Commissioner Dorian got it out just a hair faster for the second. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, that motion passes unanimously. Anything else that you need from us, staff? Anything else for the good of the order, Commission? Commissioner Dorian?
One question as a reminder, because I know it's on the minds of folks in the community. What happens if we don't get anything new from Bastille this year? Does their master plan just continue? Can they ask for it to be, yeah?
A good question. Don't have the answer to
Okay.
that. So it's still sort of in flux.
Very
We,
good.
that's policy 15-2 in the pros plan.
Can you remind us, Debbie and Todd, when the master plan expires? Is it at the end of this year or is it at the end of 2026?
It's at the end of this year.
At the end of 2025, it expires. Okay, great. Thank you. Anything else for the good of the order? Or anyone says anything, with nothing to come before us, this meeting is adjourned at 8:45. Thank you all.